Hello friend, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Cotton and this is Cotton's Creations 42, and today we are going to learn how to make this an awesome basic ear warmer that is knit with an alternating 1-1 twisted rib stitch, which I know is a mouthful, but trust me, it is not hard to do. Are you ready? Let's get knitting. So before we get started, I just wanted to show you a couple of different types of ribbing you can use on your ear warmer because your options are basically endless. These are just 4, but there's probably other ones out there. So this one is a 2-2 rib, which is the basic one that I use in my basic beanie. Super stretchy, really comfy, awesome, looks the same on the inside and the outside. I love that one, very cool. And this one is a 1-1 rib, which is very similar to that one. It is also very stretchy and looks the same inside and outside. Really like the 1-1 rib. This one is a 1-1 twisted rib where you twist your knit stitches and it creates these nice defined lines, and I really like this one for hats. I used it for a long time. It's not quite as stretchy as the 1-1 rib or the 2-2 rib, but that's okay. I like it for the, it's for the aesthetics. I like the way it looks, and it looks like a 1-1 rib on the inside and then the 1-1 twisted rib on the outside. And this one is probably my favorite, and it's what I'm going to show you how to do today, so you can make any of these today that you wanted to. But I'm going to show you how to do this one. This is an alternating 1-1 twisted rib, and what it is it's one row of twisted knit stitches and then one row of regular knit stitches, and it's stretchier than the 1-1 twisted rib, but it's got these nice defined lines that I like a lot. And that also looks like a 1-1 rib on the inside. So this is what we're going to learn how to do today, but any of these will totally work for an ear warmer. So let's go ahead and get started. So today we're going to be using size 9 needles, and we've got some worsted weight yarn. I'm just going to use this off-white yarn I have left over from another project, if I can find the end. There we go. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a slip knot. And we're going to use the cable knit cast on because it's my favorite cast on. It's super easy. I'm also going to make a little slip knot at the end of my tail to use as my stitch marker because this way I can't lose it. It makes my life a little bit easier. Alright, so we are going to do a cable knit cast on. You can use any cast on you like. Just make sure it's nice and loose. And how you do a cable knit cast on is super easy. You put your slip knot on your left hand needle. You put your right hand needle through that loop, and then you're going to pull up a loop. Now you're going to take that and you're going to put it on your left hand needle. So now you've got 2 loops on your left hand needle. And then you're going to go between those 2 loops, pull up another loop, place it on your left hand needle, and then repeat that until you have as many as you need. One tip that I like to share with you is that I hold my thumb and my forefinger between those 2 stitches while I'm doing my next stitch. That way my tension is even and nice and loose, and I don't have to worry about the hat not hit or the ear warmer not fitting because my cast on is too tight. If you do have problems with a really tight cast on, you might want to use a size 1 or 2 needle up from the size that you're knitting with when you do your cast on and your bind off, because that will help keep your loops bigger and easier to work with. So we're going to cast on 60 stitches in the cable knit cast on, and then I will meet you back here and we will learn how to do a 1-1 alternating twisted rib stitch. 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, and 60. Okay, so we've got 60 stitches cast on with our cable knit cast on our size 9 needles. And now what we are going to do is join in the round. And the first thing we're going to do is untwist this so that all of our stitches are going in the same direction. Cable knit cast on especially likes to get twisted up, I've found, so just be careful. You're also going to want to untwist it when you come back around after doing the very first round, because that's another place where it can get twisted really easily. So we'll go ahead and pull up a loop on our needles. Now we are going to start with our alternating 1-1 twisted rib stitch. And Twisting your knit stitches is really easy. In fact, a lot of beginner knitters do it and they don't even realize that they're doing it. But what you're going to do is instead of going through the front loop like that, we're going to go through the back loop and knit a stitch. So we're just going to knit one stitch. And now since this is a 1-1 rib, we're going to bring our yarn in front and we're going to do a purl stitch. Just a regular old purl stitch. Now we bring our yarn back to the back and we're going to go ahead and knit another twisted stitch. Bring our yarn to the front, purl. Yarn to the back, twist. Yarn to the front, purl. Yarn to the back, twist. Now, since this is an alternating 1-1 twisted rib stitch, we are going to twist the stitches on this first row, and then we're going to knit them regularly on the second row, and then we're going to alternate that back and forth. And how I like to keep track of that when I am doing this pattern is I always make sure that I twist my stitches on all of my odd rows and that I knit my stitches on all of my even rows. That way, if I get lost, I can just count and I'll know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. All right, so I've reached the end of all of the stitches on my left-hand needle. So I'm going to go ahead and slide this back so we can pull up another loop. Now, when I am pulling up a loop, I like to have a knit stitch on the left side and a purl stitch on the right side, because I found that if I start with a purl stitch, sometimes I will have an accidental yarn over. I'm sure this is not everyone's experience, but that's just something that's happened to me often enough that I like to keep it a purl stitch, the first stitch on the needle here. And I like to have at least 4 stitches on my right hand needle so that my tension stays nice and even. Just like that. And then we continue with our alternating 1-1 twisted rib stitch. Just like that. Twist, purl, and twist. All right, I will meet you back here when I am almost done with this row. Okay, I've made it almost to the end of my first round, and I just wanted to show you a couple of things. When you're doing a cable knit cast on, these last 2 stitches can sometimes get bunched up and look like one. If you want to, you can always cast on an extra stitch and just knit those 2 together, but otherwise just make sure that you pull them apart and you knit them separately. And then the other thing I wanted to show you is that this is another place where your whole knitting can get twisted, and you want to be careful when you come up to this first row that everything is straight. I also need to put my stitch marker up because I didn't do that before. Everything looks fine, which is awesome. So we're going to go ahead and keep going. So now, since I did a twisted knit stitch on the first row, I'm going to do regular knit stitch on the second row, and that's where you go through the front and pull up a loop, and then you do a purl stitch, and then a regular knit stitch. And that's all that this ear warmer is. Basically, we're going to do this for 20 rows, or for as long as you want your ear warmer to be. It's about 5, for me it's about 5 inches with 20 rows. And that's a size that I'm comfortable with. But if you wanted to make one shorter or smaller or bigger, it's up to you. It's totally your deal, right? You're making your own ear warmer, so you can make it however you like. But I'm going to do this one for 20 rows, and then I'm going to come back and I will show you how I do my bind off. Happy knitting, y'all. Alrighty, so I have knit 20 rows of my 1-1 alternating twisted rib stitch, and I love the way that it looks. It's just very pretty. It's about 5 inches long, which is what I like for my ear warmer. And I'm going to now show you how I do a bind off. I really like Jeny's super stretchy bind off, except for I find that it is too stretchy for me. So I like to skip every 4th yarn over. So I'll do 3 stitches with a yarn over, and then I'll do my 4th stitch without a yarn over. And I will go ahead and show you how I do that. You're going to want to, you don't have to do this, but I like to do it in pattern. So I will do, this is a knit stitch, and this is a purl stitch, and this is a knit stitch, and etc., etc. but you could just do them all as knit stitches all the way around. But I think that it looks nicer if you follow the pattern. So we're going to knit this first stitch, do a yarn over, and then we're going to purl the second stitch. And now we're going to slip those 2 stitches over our purl stitch. And now we have just binded off our first stitch. Now we're going to knit this stitch. No, first we're going to do a yarn over. Then we're going to knit this stitch. And we're going to slip both of those stitches over our knit stitch. Yarn over. Purl this next stitch. Slip those 2 stitches. And then since this is the 4th one we're doing, I'm not going to do a yarn over, but you can totally do one if you like. Like I said, it's just too stretchy for me, and it doesn't have enough, it doesn't feel right on my head. So I just do 3, every 3 or every 4, I skip one. I skip 1 yarn over. So we'll do that again. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and on the 4th one, I don't do a yarn over, 4. And then you just continue this until it is off of your needles, and then you are done. You just have to weave in your ends, and Bob's your uncle, there you go. You have got an awesome ear warmer. All right, so we have reached the end, and we have 1 stitch left on our needles. So we're going to go ahead and cut this yarn, and then you just take your yarn and you're going to put it through that loop. And you're going to take a darning needle, and you're going to put your yarn on your darning needle, and we're going to use this to weave in the end. And you just go through here. I like to go through here a couple of times just to make this join nice and tight so that nothing comes loose. And then what I like to do, since this is all one color, I like to go up. It makes it more difficult if you're using multicolored things and you want something that's reversible when you're weaving in your ends. Just keep that in mind, that your tail's probably going to show a little bit. But this is how I weave in my ends. You just go up one of these rows a little ways. It doesn't have to be the whole way. Make sure that you're not pulling anything too tight. And then you just go back down or up, depending on which direction you're going. And I'd like to stop before I get to the end in case that tail comes loose. I don't want it showing. And clip it off, and then you just do the same thing on the other side. It's easy peasy. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I don't know where these colloquialisms come from. They're just stuck in my head. Yep, but you just do the same thing on the other side. Go through that join a little bit, a couple times, and then go up. And then go back down. And there you have it. Turn it right side out. And look at that. A beautiful ear warmer. Ah, I love it. All right, well, thank you so much for watching this tutorial and knitting an ear warmer with me. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. I will be more than happy to answer them. And I thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. And I will see you here next week for another tutorial. Bye! Bonus Sleeping Kitty content. 'Cause she's so cute.